Welcome to Life Stories, your gateway to extraordinary journeys of resilience, love, and transformation. In today's story, we explore the remarkable path of a determined builder whose life is forever changed by betrayal and redemption. From humble beginnings in a rundown neighborhood to building a legacy of hope and community, his journey reminds us that even the deepest wounds can lead to new beginnings. Subscribe to our channel to join us on this inspiring adventure and start your day with a story that touches the heart and ignites the spirit. Subscribe now to begin today's story. I still remember the day I bought that rundown building in the Bronx as if it were yesterday. I had scraped together every penny from my construction jobs, driven by a burning determination to create something lasting. My father, a grizzled veteran of the trade with hands hardened by decades of labor, warned me against dreaming too big. "Build things that last, son," he said, cautioning me against chasing illusions of grandeur. But I saw potential where others saw decay. The building stood like a relic amid the neglected streets, its crumbling facade whispering tales of faded glory. To me, it was a canvas, a challenge to revive what time had nearly forgotten. I remember feeling both fear and exhilaration as I signed the deed. It was a gamble, a leap of faith fueled by passion and raw ambition. Over countless days and nights, I labored tirelessly, often working 16-hour shifts, pouring my sweat and soul into every brick and beam. The transformation was gradual but profound. Slowly, the dilapidated structure morphed into a space that could offer affordable yet dignified housing, a testament to resilience and hope. It wasn't long before fate introduced me to Sarah Benson. I was leaning against a pickup truck, admiring the modest yet honest results of my labor when she appeared, a gentle presence in a world of hard edges. Sarah was a hospital administrator, someone who carried warmth in her smile and a quiet strength in her eyes. I recall the way the afternoon sun caught her hair, as if nature itself wanted to highlight her inner light. She carried a rental application, but more than that, she carried a hope for a better life, a life where people could find solace and dignity under a roof that truly cared for them. As she stepped into the building for the first time, there was an unspoken understanding between us. In that moment, I realized that my journey was never solely about constructing buildings. It was about creating homes, about weaving together the threads of community, empathy, and trust. Sarah's presence softened the rough edges of my pragmatic world. Her laughter, her thoughtful words, and even her subtle critiques of my tireless work echoed a deeper truth, that while ambition drives us, it is love and empathy that truly shape our lives. Our early days were simple and unassuming. I was so engrossed in transforming concrete and steel into something with soul that I rarely paused to reflect on the profound lessons life was offering. But with Sarah by my side, those lessons became impossible to ignore. In the quiet moments, when the work was done for the day and the city's restless hum softened into twilight, we would talk for hours about our dreams and disappointments, about the cost of ambition and the beauty of resilience. There was a sincerity in her eyes that made me wonder if perhaps I was finally beginning to understand what it meant to build something truly meaningful. That time in the Bronx was more than a chapter in my career. It was the foundation upon which I would build my future. I learned that success was not measured solely in the properties you owned or the wealth you accumulated, but in the integrity and compassion you infused into every endeavor. As I look back now, I see that those early struggles and small victories shaped me in ways I hadn't anticipated. They taught me that real value lies in perseverance, in the ability to transform adversity into opportunity, and in the courage to let love guide our most ambitious projects. This is how it all began. My journey from a determined builder with nothing but raw ambition to a man who understood that every structure, every home, carries with it the echoes of our hearts and the promise of a better tomorrow. Life took an unexpected turn when I began noticing subtle shifts in Sarah's demeanor. At first, it was barely perceptible, a fleeting glance, a momentary hesitation before a smile. But as weeks passed, I sensed a growing distance between us. One evening, after a long day of work, I returned home early from a project in Harlem. Instead of the usual warmth and gentle welcome, I found Sarah absorbed in her phone, her expression guarded. The silence that fell between us that night was heavy with unspoken words. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Over the following days, I found myself plagued by uneasy thoughts. I began questioning every small detail, a missed phone call here, an unexpected text message there. My instincts, honed by years of building not just structures but also trust with those around me, told me that the foundation of our relationship was beginning to crack. In a moment of vulnerability mixed with resolve, I decided to confront the uncertainty head on. I hired a private investigator, Rachel Morgan, to discreetly look into my growing suspicions. I wasn't looking to accuse Sarah outright. I was desperate for clarity, for the truth that could either reaffirm our shared history or shatter it completely. The evidence that soon emerged was both intimate and damning. Photographs and messages revealed Sarah in the company of Evan Wallace, a suave, sophisticated investment manager known in elite circles. Evan's presence was a stark contrast to the simple, honest life we had built together. As I pored over the documents and images, a crushing mix of betrayal and heartbreak washed over me. Every smile Sarah had ever shared, every tender moment we once celebrated, now seemed tainted by deception. The revelation culminated in a dramatic confrontation at our 10th anniversary party. I had meticulously planned the event as a celebration of our journey together, a testament to years of hard work and shared dreams. Instead, that night became the stage for my public denouncement of Sarah's infidelity. In front of friends, family, and influential members of our community, I stood before them and revealed the painful truth. The atmosphere shifted from one of celebration to stunned silence as my words hung in the air. In that moment, I realized that what I had built, both our life and my reputation as a steadfast builder, was being undermined by betrayal. The public disclosure wasn't just an act of revenge. It was a desperate bid to reclaim control over a situation that had spiraled out of my grasp. The ensuing days were a blur of legal maneuvers, financial strategizing, and a cascade of personal confrontations. The once solid bond of love and trust that had been the cornerstone of my world was now irrevocably broken. As I struggled to navigate the chasm of shattered trust and mounting legal battles, I couldn't help but wonder how a love that once promised to be our sanctuary had become the catalyst for so much destruction. The painful lessons of betrayal and the harsh reality of deception had arrived with a force that was impossible to ignore, leaving me to face the bitter truth alone. In the wake of the tumultuous revelations, my world seemed to splinter into shards of anger, sorrow, and an unyielding resolve. The public confrontation at our anniversary party had not only exposed Sarah's betrayal, but it had also dismantled the comfortable life I had painstakingly built. In those dark moments that followed, I felt the raw sting of betrayal deep within my soul. Yet amid that despair, a steely determination began to rise. A determination to reclaim what I had lost and rebuild something far greater than the crumbling remnants of our shared past. I turned my focus to dismantling Evan Wallace's web of deceit. It wasn't merely a quest for revenge, it was an act of self-preservation, a way to protect my reputation and the integrity of every brick I had laid with my own hands. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find: financial records, testimonies from trusted colleagues, and a meticulous timeline of his dubious transactions. Working with a team of trusted advisors, I began piecing together a counter-strategy that would not only expose his fraudulent schemes, but also shield my own assets from the fallout of his deception. During countless nights, while poring over documents and formulating legal maneuvers, I also found moments of reflection that transcended the bitterness. I recalled the early days in the Bronx, the dreams that had once lit up my heart, and the simple truth that drove me: to build something lasting. The painful experience with Sarah and Evan forced me to confront the vulnerability inherent in both love and ambition. I realized that the pursuit of revenge could easily consume a man, leaving nothing but ruin in its wake. Instead, I chose to channel that fury into constructing a future that honored the values of hard work, honesty, and community. I began to invest in projects that resonated with the ideals I once shared with Sarah. One such endeavor was the establishment of a foundation dedicated to affordable housing and trade education. It was more than a financial counterattack. It was an act of redemption, a way to transform personal tragedy into an opportunity to uplift those who had been overlooked by society. I found solace in the idea that through this foundation, I could offer others the chance to build a better life, just as I had once dreamed of doing. Yet, as I navigated the labyrinth of legal battles and financial disclosures, I was constantly reminded that the scars of betrayal ran deep. The process was excruciatingly slow, each setback a reminder of the trust that had been shattered. I often wondered whether the relentless pursuit of retribution was worth the personal cost. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the weight of solitude pressed heavily upon me, I recognized that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the courage to rebuild and forgive, even if only in part. In that crucible of fire and regret, I slowly began to redefine success. It was no longer about the properties I owned or the accolades I earned. It was about the legacy I would leave behind. A legacy of compassion, resilience, and the profound lesson that even in the face of betrayal, one can choose to rise, rebuild, and ultimately transform pain into a beacon of hope for others. In the final act of my journey, I found that life had a way of teaching us that even shattered dreams could be rebuilt into something meaningful. The pain of betrayal and the sting of revenge had forced me to re-examine every facet of my existence. Slowly, I learned that true success wasn't measured by the grandeur of my empire or the numbers in my bank account. It was defined by the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity to transform hardship into hope. I dedicated myself to creating a foundation for affordable housing and trade education, not just as a counter to my past misfortunes, but as a tribute to all those who had ever felt overlooked and undervalued. In building something that could stand the test of time, I rediscovered the core values I had nearly lost: integrity, empathy, and a commitment to community. This renewed purpose became my guiding light, illuminating the path toward a future where my scars were not a source of shame, but a wellspring of strength. Every brick laid and every life touched by our projects reminded me that even in our darkest moments, we hold the power to rebuild and redefine our legacy. The journey was long and fraught with obstacles, yet it was the profound lessons learned along the way that gave life its true meaning. And as I stand here today with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart that has known both despair and redemption, I invite you to join me on this continuing adventure. Please subscribe to our channel to follow new life stories as we explore the intricate tapestry of human resilience, love, and the enduring quest for a better tomorrow. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and I look forward to sharing many more stories of hope and transformation with you.